time for my third period class, my favorite class.
So, Brinley, are you ready to learn all of the literary terms today in Mr. Cooney's?
I am, but it doesn't look like Billy and Russell are.
Don't judge us.
You're sensitive.
I won't judge you, but I will judge your literary words work. Let's get to class. So for home... Be above the line. For homework, I would like you to continue researching new literary terms. Today, we will discuss and review the terms from yesterday. Yes, Billy?
How many terms did we have again?
20, and I assume you have examples for each one.
Yes. Completely and beautifully done, sir.
All right, let's begin. What does epiphany mean?
It is the moment of sudden understanding.
An example of epiphany in modern entertainment is in The Princess Bride. They're on top of a cliff when Princess Buttercup realizes Wesley is Dread Pirate Roberts. She says, "Oh, my sweet Wesley," and she jumps off a cliff after him.
Very good. What would an example of exaggeration or stretching the truth be in entertainment?
In The Sandlot, there is the legend of the beast. The kids have conjured up cannibalistic tales of a creature that is truly just a dog.
That movie was new when I was in high school. Who researched another word?
I researched malapropism, or a humorous play on words resulting from two similar words being misused. In the BFG, a novel adapted into a movie by Roald Dahl, a giant is illiterate. He has trouble speaking and says, "Don't gobble funk around with words." Or another example, I cannot be right all the time. Quite often, I is left instead of right.
That is surely gobble funking around with words. Billy, did you research at all?
Yes. A parody is a story that uses excessive humorous exaggeration to mock something.
And an example is?
The Starving Games.
The next word is mood.
That is the feeling of the story. Like in Twilight, it was sadness. Edward says, "Bella, you don't want to become a vampire."
What is an often repeated idea in a story?
Inconceivable. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think that means.
No, it is called a motif.
Exactly. That is a motif in The Princess Bride.
Very good. Moving on, we have 5 words that represent literary devices used in different works we've read this year. Britt, could you define them and give us examples?
The first word I researched was tragedy. A tragedy can be portrayed in many ways, all of which end in the hero being destroyed. An example of tragedy is in fact The Tragedy of Julius Caesar by William Shakespeare. Secondly, a symbol, or person, place, thing, or event that stands for something else, is represented in Animal Farm. The Animal Farm, or better known as Manor Farm, symbolizes the Soviet Union under communist rule. A simile, or comparison of two unlike things using like or as, is represented in To Kill a Mockingbird when Scout says, "Her face was the color of a dirty pillowcase, and the corner of her mouth glistened with wet, which inched like a glacier down the deep grooves enclosing her chin." Imagery is used to paint a vivid picture in the reader's mind. Authors conjure all 5 senses to make a reader visualize images of the text. An example of imagery in 1984 is found in the first chapter stating, "It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Personification, defined as a figure of speech where an animal or inanimate object is given human characteristics, is shown in Animal Farm. The animals are able to speak and read as humans do. And those are my 5 examples.
As we relate those literary terms to novels we've read, we must realize they can be applied to other works such as movies, poems, short stories. Who has an example of stereotype in a movie?
Stereotype is characterizing a person by the general qualities of a group of people without individuality. As far as stereotyping goes, Greece puts perspective on labels and how they affect relationships. Sandy Olson is considered too much of a goody two-shoes to be considered as a part of the Pink Ladies.
Now, other than Princess Bride, who has a definition and an example of quest?
Quest is a series of events in search of something. A good example of quest would be a series of unfortunate events because the 3 children, Sunny, Claus, and Violet, are in search of a home throughout the duration of the novel series.
Ask me if I like writing.
Do you like writing?
No, I don't. And that's exactly why I teach English. This is an example of sarcasm. Who else has an example?
Sarcasm uses false praise to mock someone or something. Because sarcasm is the body's natural defense to stupid, Jamie Sullivan uses it in the movie A Walk to Remember. As she was being bullied by a jock who says, well, if there's a higher power, then why is it he can't get you a new sweater?
And then Jamie replies sarcastically, he's too busy looking for your brain. Wait, are you even in this class?
We're from 4th period.
Well, I guess they saved the worst classes for later in the day.
No, they don't. Here's another example for you. Flashbacks occur in 13 Reasons Why, a book adapted into a Netflix series. A young adult who commits suicide sends out the tapes of her previous accounts with 13 different people. The story is presented switching from past events to the present.
What did you get for irony, or words or phrases that convey the opposite meaning or expected outcome?
I found that in Ratatouille. A rat makes the dish in the Disney film.
Well, that's ironic. So did I.
Example of an epitaph is The Fault in Our Stars, when Hazel Grace Lancaster gives a short verse for her past boyfriend, Augustus.
Well, my example of a hyperbole is from the opening remarks in the American folk tale of Paul Bunyan's Babe and the Blue Ox. Well now, one winter it was so cold that all the geese flew backward and all the fish moved south and even the snow turned blue.
Well, that's good, but I think I have a better example for metaphor. While watching an episode of The Simpsons, I found that Homer Simpson said women are ravenous, blood-sucking monsters, always wanting more. Well, I guess that's true anyway, but I think it's a good example.
Well, I've got one. The moral of the story is appearances are often deceiving. That's from The Wolf in Sheep's Clothing.
All right, I give. 4th period isn't so bad, but 3rd period is still better.